What's going on, guys? So in front of me, you are looking at our brand new 2024 Ford F450 Platinum with the high output 6.7 liter Power Stroke diesel V8 engine. 10-speed automatic transmission. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Now, I've had the truck now for a few days, and I have put quite a few, well, not quite a few, but I've put a number of the things that I removed from my old red F450 onto this truck. Anyways, I'm going to give you a full tour of this truck. We're going to talk about some of the differences in terms of technology, features, and functions that this truck has that my 2017 F450 didn't have. And this is probably going to hold true for a lot of folks that have 2017 through 2022 trucks that are wondering if they should get an F450, a new F450, a 2023, 24, or possibly 25, depending on when you watch this video. So we're going to go over it in depth. Hang tight. I'll be right back. All right, so before we dive too deep in this video, let's quickly talk about payload capacity. This truck has a 4,941 pound cargo capacity, and that is about 400 pounds greater than my outgoing F450. Secondly, this truck has a 33,000 pound maximum gooseneck fifth wheel towing capacity. Now, here's an interesting fact for some of you. If you get the 6.7 liter non-high output, basically the standard, the one with the black 6.7 right there, you actually get 100 pounds additional towing capacity, 33,100 pound, which is kind of strange and interesting, I guess. If you get the high output on a 450, 33,000 pounds. But you can go all the way up to 40,000 pounds in a regular cab work truck edition with the high output Power Stroke. That is absolutely insane. So yeah, that's those are all numbers I'm sure people want to know, and the numbers on these trucks have absolutely gotten incredibly high. And if you didn't watch the videos I did in Detroit at the Ford Proving Grounds, you should go back and watch those videos, because we actually had several of these trucks in various configurations towing all the way up to maximum towing capacity, both conventionally and with a fifth wheel, as well as crew cab dually also towing at maximum. So all really good things to know. All right, so some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video are going to kind of be repetitive in the sense that I've talked about some of them in the previous video where I introduced the truck and I showed you, the final voyage of the F450 that we had, the 2017 red F450. And when I go over it, though, I want to be sure that I'm very thorough. So please hang in there if you're hearing some things that I may have gone over in another video. Well, first, we're going to start from the front, work our way back, and I will try to help identify things, again, that are dramatically different than the outgoing body style. Again, the 2017 through 2022 F450 or even F350 and some other Super Duties that you may be looking at. A lot of these things are going to hold true regardless of if it's an F250, 350, 350 dually, or 450. So, starting from the front, one of the biggest differences and changes is the front bumper. Now, the fact that you have parking sensors. So Ford has never offered parking sensors on their Super Duty lineup of trucks, at least on the front. So now with 2023 and 24, especially on your higher trim packages, you have the availability of front parking sensors, which I think is a really good thing, mainly because sometimes it can be difficult to see how close or far you are from objects, especially if they're lower to the ground and you don't have that visibility over the hood to see them. So front parking sensors, to me, on all vehicles are a really good thing, and this truck does have them, as well as several other versions and variations of the Super Duty. I believe all the way down to Lariat, maybe even XLT you might be able to get them. I'm not 100% sure though. Up front, when you opt for a Platinum or Limited package, those are the only two trims that you get the projector headlights. So the projectors are these headlights right here. Your high beam, your low beam, as well as your fog lights are all projectors, and your low beams, very similar to the GMC Denali that we have, it's actually two projectors side by side. Now, you still get this really cool kind of C-clamp style LED graphic on it as well. They don't animate, so that's a big difference between some of the other brands where you see some animation when people turn their turn signal on. These don't animate. However, a feature that this truck has, and I believe it's standard on Platinum as well as Limited. Not sure about King Ranch, probably not, because they don't have the projector headlights. Lariat and King Ranch and even some XLTs can get LEDs, but it's a reflector style LED. But the value and benefit of these are the fact that they are auto leveling. That to me is game changing. You guys may remember videos that I've made years ago where I've talked about the importance that they start putting auto leveling headlights on pickup trucks, all of them. Mainly because if you throw something in the bed that's heavy, you hitch up a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, that weight pressing down on the back is obviously going to make your headlight angle tilt up and you start blinding oncoming traffic. That's a problem I've had with both of my previous F450s whenever we were hauling the fifth wheel. You're driving down the road, people think that you have your high beams on. With auto leveling headlights, they will actually level themselves back down to the road automatically. And when you turn the truck on at night and the headlights come on, they do the same thing a lot of vehicles with auto leveling headlights do. They do this number where they kind of rotate up and down on a wall, and you'll be able to see that as they're doing it. All right, I really love this bumper. I'm on the fence about doing a full bumper replacement. I love how they've accented the bumper. To me, the bumpers on the new Super Duties look fantastic, and I don't necessarily think there's like a dramatic need for someone to upgrade to something unless they're just looking for something significantly beefier and stronger. I'm even considering putting in the Ford factory 12,000 pound winch that you can actually mount in the center right there. So that may be a project I take on. I am not in a rush to swap out to aftermarket bumpers. But you know, by not doing that, it kind of makes you leery about anything that could bump into you or you could bump into. Just because I know that these bumpers aren't going to be nearly as strong as like a Road Armor or a Fab 4 or something like that. So I'm still on the fence about what I want to do at the front of the truck from a bumper perspective. I also like the fact that there are projector fog lights there, which are not inexpensive, and they cast a huge amount of light. So swapping those out to, you know, a rigid or black oak or something like that, again, isn't necessarily something on my radar, but it might be at some point. All right, coming around, Ford is still using these copycat style Alcoa wheels. Again, the way you can tell is they have 8 holes in them instead of 10 holes. If you saw the Alcoas that we put on the 450 I used to have, they were real Alcoas. They had the Durabright finish, which is really awesome. They basically are a challenge to get dirty. And those wheels are very expensive. They're lighter weight. And they have 10 holes in them. So that's one way you can identify an Alcoa wheel. Plus it'll have a little Alcoa emblem on them. The tires they're putting on here now are different. So these are Continental tires, but the difference here is that these are the HD, they call these the HD R5s. So the previous HSRs that came on my truck, and then they went to the HDR, and then the HDR2, are not on these. This is a newer generation. They call this their 5th generation of the HDR. So I'm really interested in seeing exactly how long they last, and if I start to get chipping or any issues on the side of the tires like I've had with them in the past. I hope I don't, but you guys know, I will let you know if that starts happening. I went through 3 or 4 sets of tires on my previous F450 just to kind of see if we could get a better tire to deal with that. But you know, ultimately at the end of the day, we put Firestones on and they held up really, really well. They're insanely quiet though. These tires are so quiet. We were taking what, 3.5 hours worth of driving in this truck when we picked it up on the interstate, around town, in cities, and they are just absolutely quiet. The entire truck is quieter, the interior, everything. But when we get into the driving dynamics video, which will be another video because I want to make this one very thorough, you will see and hear how quiet this truck is, as well as a lot of other things that you're going to want to know about this truck in terms of how it handles, how it drives, how it rides, because it is an entirely different feeling truck than the truck I had before, my 2017. Okay, so this truck does have the high output 6.7 liter Power Stroke. The way you can tell is that'll be red. It's black if it has the standard output. But when you get the high output Power Stroke, 500 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque. That's absolutely insane. Who would have ever thought a light-duty truck, because this still falls under a Class 3 designation, 14,000 pounds or less, light-duty truck with a diesel engine that's relatively compact in terms of, you know, comparing it to those big Cummins that you see in over-the-road trucks or Freightliners. But who would have thought something like this could produce 500 horsepower and 1,200 pound-feet of torque? So we still have a solid axle up front. It is coil-sprung suspension though. Working our way back. So this truck does have the auto-deploying running boards, and if I was further away and I lock the truck, the mirrors will fold in, as you can see, and when you walk up to the truck, the corresponding running board, depending on the side, automatically deploys. So that's a big difference. I don't know if they offered this in any year prior to 23, but there you go. The door, though, does not unlock. So the door only unlocks when you go and physically touch the handle, and that's when it will unlock and the mirror will actually come out. You can see right here, this is actually supposed to be functional cooling, so the air can go in and it can escape right here. We talked about that in one of the videos in Detroit. Platinum 450, they've changed the whole design. Actually, every body panel on this truck is different. So even though it looks very similar to the previous generation, every body panel is different. All right, so we'll come down the side here. This is a big one. So never before have they offered a step right here at the front of the bed. But not only do they offer it, this truck does not have the additional option that you can purchase, which is a step that folds down beneath this one. It's not a power step, but you can fold it down right here and it gives you actually like stairs to get up. But that right there is about 2 feet off of the ground, maybe a little less than that, and it's more than enough for the average person to be able to kind of climb up with. I don't think I need the extra step beneath it. It wasn't optioned on this truck, unfortunately, but it would have been cool to have it just to kind of see how functional it is. Coming around this way, you can see the dually wheels in the back. This has 4 leaf springs with a 5th smaller overload leaf spring, and that's really only going to make contact after the bed of the truck starts squatting down more than 2.5 inches, closer to 3 inches actually. Fully boxed E-coated frame. All right, this is not the FX4 package, and some people might say, what's the difference between the 4-wheel drive package and an FX4 package? Well, typically on a Super Duty, when you get the FX4 package, it includes a few more things to really help you in an off-road situation. Predominantly, it includes a locking rear diff option where you can pull the 4-wheel drive handle out and it locks your rear differential. None of the dually models of Ford Super Duties have that feature. So even if you get the FX4, you're not going to have a locking rear diff. Second, it includes skid plating underneath everything under the truck, at least your major components. You're not going to have that on this specific truck, and because of that, you know, that's really all you're getting. I would say the biggest significant difference for most people would be a locking rear diff, but since you can't get that on the dualies, it doesn't really matter. On the back now, you can see there's big, huge corner steps on the bumper. They've really made these things large. They stick out quite a bit. I love the fact that there's an opening on the inside of these as well as the ones on the side. That way, if you get dirt and stuff up here, you spray it in, it's not trapped back here, it can actually escape. All LED taillights. If you get a Lariat, King Ranch, or any trim beneath Platinum or Limited, it's going to be incandescent bulbs right here instead of LEDs. So this portion right here will be incandescent on anything beneath the Platinum. All right, you still have your big chrome or brushed Platinum emblem on the back. Applique, I believe is what they call it. Before we open the tailgate, let's look at a few other things. I love the back bumper. I love the fact that it's a step all the way across. You have a 3-inch receiver with a 2-inch reducer, or 2.5-inch reducer. I have the WaySafe hitch ready installed. They made these pieces right here larger, and they put a hook here so you can put your trailer brake away, and then your chain's right there. They've really come a long way in terms of the receiver on these Super Duties to make it more flexible with different types of towing applications you might have. You have your 7-way, your 4-way, and your pass-through for your spare tire lever so you can drop your tire down. So the folks over at Ford say that they've increased the size of the axle and the diff in this truck. It looks absolutely massive. Plus that huge sway bar down here. So it gets larger, a larger diff, it gets larger axles, and this thing is an absolute beast underneath. I'll see if I can find out the actual specs of this Dana axle back here, and I'll try to put them over the top of the video so you can see them. All right, so this is a power down tailgate. So you can see it going very slow, which is kind of crazy because who would have thought you'd get power down tailgates, right? Versus just a gravity drop that's dampened. Still get your back step. I call it the man step. I think most people still do. Here's your handle. Very nice. The step feels like it weighs less. I do know that they made the step come out a little bit further so your angle of getting on is a little more comfortable. I believe spray and bed liners is standard now. I'm guessing, at least on Platinum or Limited, because I could not find it mentioned in the window sticker, so it was kind of cool to see that it had it on here whenever I got the truck. Inside of the bed of the truck, I already have my Gen Y offset goose ball connection already in place. I put that in there. That didn't come with the truck, of course. You have your little tie-down straps here. I need to go pick those up from the other house, actually. This truck, for some reason, didn't have them, and I need to get those. On this side, you're going to have your 7-way as well as your camera connection, because this truck does have the optional camera package. And on this side, you're going to have your 2,000-watt generator, or 2,000-watt power source. This is really cool. This gives you the ability to power quite a few things if you need to. You can flip that up right there. You can see you have two 110 power outlets right there. But yeah, it provides up to 2,000 watts max. That's crazy. Very cool bed overall. To put this back, you're gonna press this button first, drop that down, then you'll press this button. This will drop down, slide into place. Very, very well lubricated. Goes up like that, then check this out. Oh, before I put that up, parking sensors on the tailgate. These are on the top of the tailgate or the back, so when the tailgate is down, you actually have parking sensors to know if you're backing up to something, as well as a camera. So that is really cool tech. A lot of cool tech built in right there. There's some other tech that this truck also has, which I can mention, but check this out. You can also do this with the key fob as well, or you can do it from inside of the truck pressing the button. Very cool. Motorized down and motorized up. You have your cameras here as well as your spotlight in the back. And one very, very cool feature that this truck has, or a couple of them actually, this has the integrated bed scale. So you can actually see how much weight you're loading in the bed of the truck from inside. And these lights right here are gradient lights that go up based on how much payload you have loaded in the truck. So whenever you start using that feature, you can actually see if you're approaching your maximum cargo capacity. And we'll definitely do some testing with that, because I think we need to, right? There's gonna be a lot of folks who wanna see how that system works, and I'm super interested also. This also has the trailer assist, the Pro Trailer Backup Assist with the little knob that allows you to back the trailer up, and it comes with the harness and the adapter that needs to be mounted to your fifth wheel or your trailer so it can understand the angle. But that's also very cool. Coming around this way, there's not really anything else we can go over here. Let's pop the hood so you can take a look at the engine. All right, so under the hood, 6.7 liter Power Stroke high output diesel engine. This thing is a beast. Water cooled. Now what I don't know is where your connections to the upfitter switches are, because this truck does have the 6 upfitter switches up top, and I have absolutely no idea where the wires are. I'll have to look in the instruction manual so I can find those, so I have the ability to wire other things up if I want, like lights, maybe an onboard air compressor, something like that. So this truck will not get airbags put on it, and the main reason for that, which some of you may probably be able to figure out based off of what I just talked about a few minutes ago, is the fact that to use the scale system on this truck, you can't have airbags because it's going to throw off how the sensors work, right? It's basically going to give you a false reading in terms of number, because it's going to make it believe that if you're using your airbags, that you're not putting as much weight in the bed. So I'm not going to put airbags on this truck for that one reason. But aside from that, that is the exterior tour of this truck. Now we will hop inside into a full video on the interior, but I'm trying to keep these videos under 20 minutes, and the goal here ultimately is that you guys enjoy the content. If you are wondering what some of the differences are between an F450 and a 350, typically it comes down to the fact that you get the bigger tires and wheels, the commercial tires and wheels. You get the wide track front axle, which is going to give you much more aggressive, better steering, far tighter than any other vehicle on the road, really, any pickup truck at least. It's going to give you larger brakes up front, larger brakes in the back, and that's one of the reasons why they use the 19.5-inch wheels, is to fit around the larger brake rotors. It's going to give you larger half shafts inside of your axles as well, and that's essentially the part that physically turns the hub. So that's the part that spins, and they're going to be larger for this specific truck. The front frame section is also significantly different. It is based off of the commercial 450/550 chassis. So if you have one of these parked next to like a 350 dually and you look at the front frame, you'll see not even the bolt holes align. There's so much difference going on under there, and that's something worth noting. At the end of the day though, it really comes down to the steering. The fact that this truck can turn like 7.5 to 8 feet tighter than a standard F350. And when you're maneuvering a trailer, when you're backing in a trailer, doing any of that stuff, that's really where this comes in handy. Or even if you're just having to make a trip to Lowe's or Home Depot or Sam's Club, if you need to back into a parking spot, you can do it far more effectively because of the steering angle that you get on the F450. Anyways, guys, please leave a comment below. Next video will be the interior tour. Next video, we'll go over the technology on the inside, we'll go over the seating, we'll go over all the stuff that's going on inside, as well as the differences between this and the outgoing model. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.